You know, I've spent a lot of time with CEOs recently, and there's one question that keeps coming up. How do I make sense of all this AI stuff? How do I make sure that my company is doing the right things with AI? How do I make sure that I'm not falling behind? And most importantly, what should I be worried about? And how do I sleep at night? So let me share with you a framework that I've developed over the last several months of working with CEOs that helps them think about this in a very structured way. So there are 3 things that you need to think about. The first is what aspects of your business could be transformed by generative AI. The second is, what are the implications for your industry from a competitive point of view? And then the third is, what are the societal and ethical considerations that you need to be aware of? And so let's take each one of those one by one. The first is, what aspects of your business could be transformed by generative AI? And here we're talking about things like product development, marketing, sales, customer service, operations, human resources. In every function of every company, there is the potential for generative AI to transform how things get done. And the key thing here is to think about what are the adjacent possibilities, what are the new things that we could do that we could not do before, or that would take a human being 100 hours to do and now can be done in 10 minutes. That's the kind of adjacent thinking that you need to be doing in every part of your organization. The next is, what are the implications for your industry from a competitive point of view? And here we have to think about both offense and defense. On the one hand, are there ways in which you could use generative AI to create new products or services that you couldn't offer before? Or even if it's in an entirely different industry, are there new adjacent markets that you could move into? Because remember, AI is not going to preserve competitive advantage. In fact, it's quite the opposite. AI will obliterate competitive advantage. So you have to think about, how can I use this to drive offense in my business? But then also think about the implications from a defensive point of view. What are the things that people do in my industry today that will be commoditized tomorrow? And if I don't start investing in AI today, will my cost base be higher than my competitors? Will I be at a disadvantage? And so you need to think about both the offensive and defensive implications of AI on your industry. And then the third is to think about the societal and ethical implications of AI. And this is really important because ultimately, as a CEO, you're responsible for the good of society. You're responsible for making sure that your company is a good corporate citizen. And so you need to think about, what are the ethical considerations of AI that I need to be aware of? Is my company doing the right thing from a fairness, accountability, and transparency perspective with AI? And what are the societal implications of AI? How could this technology either disrupt the social fabric of our society or contribute to the betterment of our society? And you need to think about these questions, not just from a risk mitigation point of view, but also from a growth and opportunity point of view. Because ultimately, the companies that will win in this new world are the companies that are not just technically proficient in AI, but are also societally and ethically proficient in AI. And there's a huge opportunity for companies to step up and lead in this new world. So it's not enough to just think about AI in terms of technical proficiency. You have to think about it from a business perspective, from a societal perspective, and from an ethical perspective. Hope that helps. See you in the next video.